I was the perfect girlfriend until I discovered my boyfriend's hidden agenda. I always considered myself lucky when I met David. He seemed perfect, thoughtful, caring, and genuinely interested in me. From our first date, there was an undeniable chemistry, an electric connection that sparked between us. He would send me sweet messages throughout the day, asking about my thoughts and feelings. We have been dating for 6 months, and everything felt wonderful. Our dates were filled with laughter, late-night talks about our dreams, and promises of a future together. But as time went on, a shadow began to loom over our relationship, a subtle yet persistent unease that gnawed at the edges of my happiness. Initially, I dismissed my concerns, convinced they were mere figments of my imagination. However, I couldn't ignore the growing frequency with which David mentioned his best friend, Alex. At first, it seemed harmless. Friends often share stories about each other, right? But gradually, it felt like Alex was being woven into the very fabric of our relationship, and that began to unsettle me. One evening, while we were snuggled up on the couch watching a movie, David casually mentioned, Alex is really good at cooking. We should invite him over for dinner sometime. My heart sank. Why was he so eager to include Alex in our intimate moments? I brushed it off with a smile, masking the unease bubbling beneath the surface. But as days turned into weeks, I began to feel like a third wheel in my own relationship. Then came that fateful day when I jokingly asked David, "Are you hoping I'll date Alex instead of you?" His laughter rang hollow, but I caught a flicker of something in his eyes, a mix of annoyance and maybe guilt that made me uneasy. The moment marked a turning point in our relationship. Why was he mentioning Alex so often? What was it about their friendship that felt so crucial to him? I couldn't shake the feeling that something was brewing beneath the surface, something I was not privy to. As time passed, David's behavior grew more bizarre and erratic. One evening, during a casual dinner, I brought up our future, talking about vacations and long-term plans, and he suddenly turned serious, asking, if we broke up, would you consider dating someone in our friend group? My stomach twisted. Why was he even thinking about that? It felt so out of place, and I realized I had to confront him about what was really going on. That night, with a heart full of trepidation, I sat down with David and directly asked, "What's going on between you and Alex? Why do you keep bringing him up?" His reaction shocked me. He exploded in anger, hurling insults and accusing me of not trusting him. "You're being ridiculous. Alex is just a friend," he shouted. I felt bewildered and hurt. Was it wrong to ask about his feelings? As he ranted, I could feel my anxiety rising, realizing that my concerns were not only valid, but perhaps indicative of something deeper. The very next day, I received a call from Alex. His voice was calm and concerned as he spoke, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. "I just wanted to check in on you," he said, his tone disarming. He told me that David wasn't ready for a serious relationship and that I deserved better. My stomach churned at his words. Why was he reaching out to me? Was this genuine concern, or was he trying to stir trouble? Despite my reservations, I decided to meet Alex, hoping to understand what was really happening. Our meeting was awkward, filled with hesitant small talk until the tension broke. He painted David as someone incapable of love, trying to make me rethink my relationship. Inside, I felt like I was being manipulated, as if I were just a pawn in their game. My heart raced with confusion, caught between the two men I cared about. After my encounter with Alex, I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. I realized I couldn't trust David anymore, and the fun we once had together began to feel like a distant memory, replaced by a heavy weight of uncertainty. I knew I had to express my feelings once and for all. The following morning, I confronted David about everything, my heart pounding as I prepared to speak my truth. "David, I need to talk," I said, my voice shaking slightly. "I feel uncomfortable with your constant mention of Alex, and it's making me question our relationship." His eyes widened, and he grew defensive again, insisting I was overreacting. "You're just being insecure. Alex is nothing to me," he spat, but his denial only fueled my frustration. I felt the walls closing in, suffocated by the weight of unspoken truths. In that moment of heated exchange, I realized I had to stand my ground. My instincts were screaming at me, urging me to protect my heart. Frustrated and hurt, I decided to end things right then and there. I can't be with someone who pushes me toward his best friend, I declared, tears welling in my eyes. As I turned to leave, he started to panic, begging me to stay and hear him out. With my heart racing and a mixture of fear and determination surging through me, I rushed out of the house. I needed space and clarity, away from the chaos of his emotions. As I drove away, tears streamed down my face, but a sense of relief began to wash over me. I had made the right decision, one that prioritized my own well-being over his emotional turmoil. Feeling empowered yet vulnerable, I sent a message to my friends, explaining everything that had happened. Some of them quickly reached out to support me, sending comforting words that helped lift my spirits during this turbulent time. Later, I spoke with David's mother, who looked horrified when she heard my story. "He has a history of this," she said, her voice trembling. "You need to stay as far away from him as possible." Her words sent chills down my spine, the gravity of my situation sinking in. The realization that I was not alone in this fight lifted my spirits. I blocked both David and Alex on all platforms, determined to take back control of my life. I knew I had to document everything that had happened, so I considered going to the police to file a report, just to have everything on record and protect myself from any potential backlash. It was a frightening step, but I understood that I needed to be proactive to safeguard my future. As I reflect on this painful experience, I feel a mix of fear and empowerment. I am grateful for the support of my friends and family during this turbulent time. I realize that sometimes it takes a painful experience to discover your strength and to know when to walk away from toxic relationships. So thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever been in a similar situation, know that you're not alone. Remember, it's okay to prioritize your well-being above all else.